Welcome back to the Russian front in the Grand Campaign. I'll start with an overview of what my opponent has accomplished with his turn, starting first off with completely eliminating pretty much every unit that's been isolated in the Minsk pocket. With the activation of the southern front, he has progressed towards Odessa, around Lvov, towards Kiev. He's decided to kind of swing in southern and northern, avoiding the bulk of my central troops there. Towards Smolensk, he's pushed east of Minsk. The terrain there is very suitable. If you get in between those rivers, it's just flat land or clear terrain. He's pushed across the river west of Smolensk into the hilly, heavy forest area. My previous opponent did the same thing. I do see why, because you're pretty much going for Veliki Luki, and if you do sever that, which I assume he shall, then my two army are cut in half, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Peskov, though, he's just gunned straight for the city, leaving my troops to the west and east fairly alone. So looking at his entire offensive as a whole, he pushed me back as he's supposed to, and this is what we're facing at the beginning of my turn. So after grounding my Air Force for a week, I'm going to activate a little bit of it with a few ground support missions. It's a little bit of key recon that I have to do to see if there's like some way I can exploit some of his aggressivity. Obviously looking at that Panzer division there. With his push towards Peskov, I have to risk a recon mission. I'm assuming that he's going to have a decent amount of air cover there, but I need to know what he's bringing towards me. Not that I have much to defend it. Yeah, this will be the last week of naval interdicting around Riga. With the loss of 16 aircraft, that's pretty much the writing on the wall, because I cannot provide fighter support. Around Odessa, though, I have a much better chance of sustaining that, at least until he brings to bear some of the Luftwaffe. But eventually that's going to come to an end too. But other than that, I'm pretty shocked that he did not provide air superiority around his panzers. If I'd have obviously known that, I would have done some actual bombing missions. But I only lost one recon airplane and 2 damaged. So on the ground in general, I do want to be more aggressive. I don't want to give these rivers up easily. So he's going to take him regardless, but I'm at least going to try to make him earn it. So I'm looking at a section of the 25th Motorized Division as a possible target of attack. And generally the combat goes fairly well. It takes 3 assaults total, but I'm only going after 5,000 men, and we're through 23,000 at the end when it finally did fall back. Unfortunately, I used infantry divisions that were cut off, so they don't really have a chance to get out of there, but we're going to lose men regardless. So my recon around Gomel has shown me a little bit of a weakness to what he's doing, so I'm able to slide up. I mean, they're not strong units in any way imaginable, but I am able to slide up these airborne brigades, thus isolating a whole panzer division and whatever he has underneath that headquarters unit, assuming it's mechanized. And it's not going to do anything long term, but it's going to make him have to at least address terrain that he theoretically already conquered. And to further harass him, I'm going to move most of the 21st Army along his southern and northern flanks around that same panzer division, and what I'm assuming is the mechanized, making it to where he has to address this even further. Whatever he has further west of where I now have my airborne brigades is probably enough to push this completely to Gomel, but it's gonna make whatever supplies those 2 divisions start with, their firepower is gonna be slightly diminished. So hopefully this delays him. Each hex is like 10 miles, so I'm hoping it's like 50 miles I saved myself just by this move alone. To the south of Veliky Luki, I try to do something minimally similar. I do have a Air Force brigade that's moved to the west of the Panzer Division, isolating it, thus hopefully making its firepower at the beginning of his turn a little bit diminished. Mostly other than that, it's just a slight fallback. Not expecting this to be quite the region that takes the town of Smolensk. I have a feeling that's going to come more to the south there that we were visiting moments beforehand. Because the terrain's obviously more on his side. I don't have nearly enough infantry down there to harass him, at least yet. So that's kind of where I'm seeing it happening. But in this region, I'm going to continue to try to do harassing tactics. If I can get something opening up, maybe I'll try to do a small counterattack next turn. But we'll have to wait and see we'll have to wait and see how successful these small isolation tactics work. So near Peskov here, I did run 2 recon missions. The plains to the west, near the Gulf of Riga, I'm completely unaware of what they actually were looking for because they claim nothing's there, which I doubt. To the south of Peskov, though, those missions do prove that he overextended himself. And with that knowledge, I'm able to get 5 divisions, I think, in that gap, making it to where he's going to have to put a significant effort to remove the isolation factor. If I can get lucky and just get one of them to stay alive and in their place, maybe I can start next turn with 8 Panzer Division fully isolated. I will try my best to take advantage of that. So as I conclude the turn and get ready to send it back to my opponent, basically I emptied the reserve box. So I have about 20 rifle divisions, a tank division, and a mechanized division coming to the map. Spread out pretty much all across up and down the various fronts, but mostly focusing on the Leningrad region and Veliky Luki. I want to try to hold on to that city, Leningrad I'm speaking of, into the winter. Going to see if I can succeed in doing that, and it will depend on what happens with these tactics that I deployed this week, but we shall see.